What we had basically was just a matter of timing here today. Actually, the coal supply, as we see it dwindling away at Alabama Power Company, is in number of days of burned coal that we have left slightly better than we expected it to be a week or so ago. We expected the weather not to be quite as moderate as it has. Quite possibly we've had some extra hydro generation from the recent rainfall and so forth. But the governor and the power company and the PSC all recognize that the coal situation is going to get a whole lot worse before it gets any better. Now, our original order from the Public Service Commission was issued on February the 16th. At that time, we fully believed that the settlement of the strike was likely in just a matter of days. Obviously, sitting here tonight, we see no settlement in the immediate future, and we know that even though we have 43 days of burn, of coal left at the expected rate of burn, that it's going to get considerably worse before it gets better. So the governor's smart. He knows that the time to start conserving is now, even though it will be painful. It's better to do it in small increments than get to a situation which we could encounter if we just really were down to our last few days. Division of the Alabama Power Company, each office has a number of substations in its area. These are fed by high voltage transmission lines. These each have breakers or switches which control the circuits that go out and serve various neighborhoods or shopping centers or industrial areas or what have you, and often they're mixed. Often we have one line which serves small industry, commercial customers, and then serves residential customers. We have each of these feeders labeled, and we have them on list, and we know how much load is on each one of these feeders. When it comes time to actually start rotating our load, each segment of the power company will be given the order to curtail this much load in each of their divisions, and we will do this by actually opening the switches which serve these various lines in the various segments of our communities.
This naturally is going to be an inconvenience, but it can also be a liability. What about people who are on kidney dialysis machines, people who are on life support systems that might be in this affected area?
We believe that we know where most or all of these type situations are, because obviously if a person has a dialysis machine or an iron lung or something of this nature, they have contacted us and let us know. If they have not, we'd appreciate it if they would. We will make every effort to contact these people before such an interruption was made.
What about downtown? What about business sections, elevators, escalators, people who are in situations with computers where if a program or a computer is down for more than 2 hours, the program will be lost? How are you going to handle these situations?
Well, in the downtown areas in Birmingham, Mobile, and Montgomery, the characteristics of our electrical systems are such that we're not going to be able to discontinue service in those areas. We have what we call a loop system there, and obviously we have designed our system to provide reliable electric service. We hadn't designed it so that it cuts on and off easily, and this is particularly true in the downtown areas.
This is a test. This is a test. May I have your attention, please? Teachers, we have just been notified that we are under a tornado warning. Please move the students into the hall and sit them on the floor in your assigned areas. Thank you.
On up, Ryan. Sit down on the floor all the way up, Ryan. Go all the way to the door, please.
Mr. Wright, when this voice command comes, where does it come from and what procedure will you follow?
All right, basically the device itself has an alarm of sound on it that will notify us that we're about to receive a message from it, and it comes from the National Weather Service, and they inform us that there is a tornado threatening the city or that there is some type of weather emergency. And we received, once the command comes to us, and then we go to our public address system and alert the teachers and the students that we're under a tornado watch. This is the basic purpose for this device in Montgomery County. And then we have the students placed in the hallways and the designated areas for the tornado watch. And at the end of the watch, It comes when we receive word back over the device again that there is an all clear. Until that time, we stay under the emergency conditions, and at that time, once we receive an all clear from this device, then we return to the PA system and remove the students back to the classrooms.
We felt that we should do something in the matter in the sense that we wanted to at least insist on conservation. So the people that we invited came on yesterday. I told them that I was a layman in the matter of what should be done or could be done, in view of the fact that I was not in the business of the production or distribution of electricity. I was also not one who was a user except in this sense, in this office and, of course, where I live. I had no suggestion to make except when told by the power company representative, Mr. Booker, in substance that, well, something needs to be done and the governor's office will be the strongest that could act in the matter in the sense of selling people on the matter. The suggestion came that I recommended on yesterday regarding the hour-a-day blackouts, 2 hours per day blackouts, as a result of the discussion of everyone here, including the Public Service Commission Chairman, the Alabama Power Company, and everyone else. It was decided that I should make the statement that the order should come from me. And the statement should come from me because even the power company representative said the people won't believe the Alabama Power Company. I believe the Alabama Power Company because they are the ones that, once the suggestion was made, they egged it on. They said they had looked into the matter of dialysis treatment, all of these things. And the power company evidently came here for the purpose of using the governor like they have used the people of Alabama all these years in overcharging them for electricity.
Well, there's absolutely no way of saying. If you ask me this question next week, I would already have a better idea. As you know, we're starting the first round of voting this Sunday and the second round the following Sunday. As things are at present, it can go either way.
There are no indicators to give you a clue as to how it's going?
We will have indicators the day after the first round of elections. Everything then will depend on whether or not the communists are ready to throw in their lot with the socialists and enter into a definite electoral agreement with them. But at present, we simply don't know whether they intend to do this or not.
It's a critical election from the U.S. standpoint because of the possibility of the gains that communists may make in this election. What kind of an effect would that have on U.S.-France relations?
Well, I'd like to make something first clear. If the left is so close to winning, it's not because of any gains on the part of the communists. In fact, the Communist Party has decreased steadily since the war in importance and in its following among the voters. The realization here, the fact is that it is the Socialist Party which has increased its power. And we are faced with the possibility of a coalition in which the Socialists would have the upper hand and would have to contend with their communist partners or not, as the case may be. However, the problems for the United States and for France and the rest of Europe do not have so much to do with the possibility of the way the left is going to run the country. What we have to look at is the effect of a state-planned economy on the value of the franc, on France's trade with the external world, and therefore France's position within the common market and France's position within the Atlantic Alliance. Those are the problems that our American friends have to look at.
might have a front double bicep. These are what are called
One of the most widespread energy conservation efforts comes from City Hall. Inside, Mayor Falmer conducts his business with his space heaters shut off completely. A chandelier hanging overhead remains turned off. The thermostats throughout the building have been turned down to the requested 65 degrees. Some secretaries adjust to the cooler working conditions by donning sweaters or light jackets. One of the 2 elevators in City Hall is shut down, requiring employees and visitors alike to use the north stairs. At the city lot, more than half of the 800 light bulbs have been taken out of the buildings. Although some of the employees feel these reductions are inconvenient, city officials report very few complaints. Some measures that Mayor Falmer says may be on the way include automatic timers at such places as the Civic Center, City Hall, and other city buildings. These timers would automatically turn the lights on and off at preset times. Private enterprise is also getting into the Conservation Act. At the downtown branch of the First Alabama Bank, the escalators have been turned off. In addition, about half the lights throughout the building have been turned out. The scene is similar all across town. City and state officials hope that by setting such examples, other energy consumers will take note and do the same, with the optimum result being a diversion of a major energy crisis. Bill Weaver, WSFA TV News, reporting.
I just think they used very poor taste and didn't use any common sense in their approach to this thing. When you come into a district that already has more than an ample supply of inmates in that district, at least you should extend some common courtesy of common sense in saying to the legislative delegation, who after all represents the people in that area and must vote their tax money to spend for institutions of this nature, they should at least know something about what's about to happen. And I can tell you for sure what's about to happen to this proposition is that it's going to be dead as a doorknob when the budget for the general fund for the Board of Corrections reaches the Senate. Then we will put the verbiage into that bill to prohibit the use of any new cells being built in Escambia County, Alabama.
Do you feel, Senator, that the Board of Corrections might be trying to fulfill what is required of them under the federal court order affecting prisons?
That's not my problem. The problem is, so far as my district is concerned, we have been in the past and up to this point friends of the Board of Corrections when they didn't have many friends. I personally have done this. But now we have reached a point where we have got a proposition that's going to put more people into our district. I say that we have a whole rest of Alabama in which to build institutions for those that are incarcerated for different causes. And we have more than an ample amount of them in Escambia County now.
More than 400 train derailments last year were caused by faulty wheels. The railroads do not have a very good system of trying to find bad wheels before wrecks. About all they do now is to have somebody stand next to the track and to look at them. Visual inspections picked out 1,200 defective train wheels in 1977. But it is estimated there is another 1,600 bad wheels on train cars carrying freight and dangerous chemicals across the country. The number of accidents caused by defective wheels has doubled in the last 4 years. The brake shoes used on railroad cars can cause excessive heat, resulting in hairline fractures in the steel wheels. 2 mechanical engineers at the University of Houston may be close to solving the problem of bad wheels. Railroad men used to test wheels by banging them with a hammer. A good wheel has a ring to it. A defective wheel has a flat sound. The men are trying to program a computer to tell the difference.
The main problem that we have to eliminate is to keep the number of false alarms from the system down to a workable level.
So that the railroad companies aren't pulling cars out of service to check what you say may be a faulty wheel.
That's right. We have to be able to accomplish this with wheels on a moving train.
The railroads are interested in the project. The developers say they need about a year of field testing in a train yard to perfect the automated wheel detection system. Roger O'Neill reporting from Houston.
Final preparations are being made by participants in this year's 21st Annual Livestock Exposition Rodeo to be held at Garrett Coliseum. The festivities start bright and early Monday morning and continue through Saturday evening. Leading off the week will be the 56th Annual Montgomery State Steer Show, with more than 300 4-H boys and girls from across the state participating. The steers competing in the show were all champions and were selective winners from 5 district contests held last week. The young cattlemen and women will be competing for more than $2,000 in prizes, and the steers will be sold for an estimated $200,000 during the sale. All the livestock shows are scheduled at the Coliseum and will be open free to the public. The highlight of the week will be the 21st Anniversary World Championship Rodeo. The rodeo will hold performances at 8 o'clock in the evenings on Wednesday through Saturday and will feature such events as bull riding, steer wrestling, bronc riding, calf roping, clowns, and specialty acts. At Garrett Coliseum, this is Emery Stapleton, WSFA TV News, reporting.
Murdering a prison guard. His attorney, Diana Hicks.
We are very pleased and very relieved that the stay was granted, and Johnny Harris is very relieved that the stay was granted. The law required that the stay be granted, and the judge followed the law.
Holman Prison Warden Joseph Oliver says many people wanted to be sure he knew of the stay of execution.
I was advised shortly thereafter by the Attorney General's office, Mr. Eric Boyd, by the federal clerk, Mr. O'Connor, by a clerk in the Attorney General's office in Montgomery, as well as by Mrs. Hicks, the attorney for Johnny.
Do you think they were trying to make sure that you got the message?
Very definitely. They wanted everything stopped without question.
You think that the death sentence will be carried out here in Alabama within the next year or two?
It's probably going to be a while. Right now, with all of the various constitutional questions involved, it could be 2 or 3 years before it's really resolved.
The 21 death row prisoners are housed in the north wing of the prison, at about 150 yards from the chair. The Alabama electric chair is bright yellow. Her wires are designed to send 2,500 volts of current through the condemned men. Experts say it takes about 40 seconds to carry out a sentence. The condemned men call her Yellow Mama. The Alabama electric chair was first put into use in this state 51 years ago. Since that time, 150 have been electrocuted for crimes ranging from rape to murder. The chair had just been freshly painted on the day we visited the death row. Engineers were taking a break from tests that led up to carrying out a sentence. Prison officials say the test will continue until the Harris case is finally settled. Legal experts say a decision in the Johnny Harris challenge to the constitutionality of Alabama's death penalty is in the hands of the federal courts, and they will make the final decision. That decision could mean life or death for 20 other prisoners on Alabama's death row. This is Norman Lumpkin, WSFA TV News, Holman Prison, Atmore, Alabama.
right, you ready for the light?
State Golden Gloves champions will highlight the card Saturday night. 17-year-old James Sen in the white trunks is the state flyweight champion. Sen will fight Matt McClendon. Both represent Prattville. In Saturday night's special event, welterweight champion Arthur Thomas takes on Ray Miller of Maxwell Air Force Base. Thomas is in the white trunks here. His sparring opponent in the red sweatsuit is the state Golden Gloves champion in the middleweight division, T.C. Collins of Maxwell Air Force Base. Collins is originally from St. Louis. He boxed on the same Golden Gloves team there as Michael and Leon Spinks. And like the Spinks brothers, Collins got into boxing out of necessity.
Well, I was raised, in the projects down in St. Louis, and, got on the boxing team down there. When it's rough in St. Louis, you have to know how to fight or run. So I couldn't run too fast, so I learned how to fight. And I got with the Soto Center up there in St. Louis and been boxing about 5 years. Then I joined the military, and then I got out of it for 3.5 years. Then I got back into it since I've been in Alabama.
The Prattville Boxing Club, officially known as the Fountain City Amateur Boxing Training Center, is sanctioned by the Amateur Athletic Union. The 15-bout exhibition begins at 7:30 Saturday evening at the old Prattville Army. Dan O'Brien, WSFA TV Sports.
10 to 12,000 people live in this tri-community that makes up Millbrook, Robinson Springs, and Casada. Fire protection here is dangerously short because of several problems. Volunteers like the men driving this truck make up the fire department here in Millbrook, and on most days only 3 volunteers are available for duty. Volunteer Fire Chief Brian Bodine of Millbrook says more volunteers are needed, especially from the ranks of local merchants.
Basically, the problem seems to be manpower. Daytime manpower availability is at a very low ebb. We've got approximately 20 members in the fire department, and of this 20 members, we've got 3 available on any given day during the week. The equipment-wise, we're in fairly good shape equipment-wise, but manpower would be the biggest problem.
What would be the time where you have 20 people that could be called on duty, and when would be the time when you'd only have 2 or 3?
Okay, any afternoon after 5 o'clock or on weekends, you'd be subject to have 20 volunteers there. If you had a call of an emergency nature during the week, on Monday through Wednesday, you'd probably only have 3. Thursday and Friday, we have an additional man that his off days happen to fall on Thursday and Friday.
What would solve this problem?
Well, we need some more community participation. At the present time in our volunteer fire department, we have none of the local merchants participating, either the merchants themselves or people that work for the merchants. The participation of people who live in the community that work in other areas at night would be very important. It's going to save them money. It's to their benefit to do this.
You said earlier that you had presented a plan to the city council. What was that plan?
Yes, sir. It was a two-pronged proposal. The first part was that they hire one of our volunteers as a full-time fireman. This would enable him to be paid to fight fires during the daytime, and he would still maintain his volunteer status with us at night. At the time this proposal was made, the city felt that they did not have the money available at this time to pay someone in this classification. The second part of the proposal, in light of this, was to hire the personnel that work for the city in various departments, primarily the maintenance department, as volunteer firemen and offer them to our volunteer firemen first. This would provide our trained volunteers during the daytime by them being employed by the city of Millbrook.
Fire Chief Bodine says until more volunteers are recruited, a dangerous situation will continue to exist in the tri-community, and they hope that more people will become involved in volunteer fire protection here. This is Norman Lumpkin, WSFA TV News, Millbrook, Alabama. Investigators say Vanguard was in financial trouble in 1971 and its assets were low. They say land in California was used as an asset in reports to the Alabama Insurance Commission. The men are charged with falsifying the value of the California property to keep the state from closing the company down. Assistant District Attorneys Walter Chandler and Jimmy Poole of the Montgomery County District Attorney's Office saw the California land. Chandler and Poole will prosecute the case. Chandler explains what the men are charged with doing and how the alleged scheme worked.
They falsified the value of some California property, which Vanguard Security Life Insurance Company used as an asset on their balance sheets, and that enabled them to stay in business and do business within the state of Alabama. The other indictment against all three of them involves the sale or issuance of mortgages in the purchase of some Utah property when the company, Vanguard Security Life Insurance Company, was in fact insolvent, which is a security violation, but it's couched in terms of embezzlement.
Did they essentially lie to the Alabama Insurance Commission?
Yes, essentially. They did. They lied about the value of some property. Without that lie, they would not have been allowed to do business in the state. And then they attempted to lie about the value of that property again in 1976. The first misrepresentation occurred in 1974 when they evaluated some property at in excess of $1,300,000, and the appraisals we had run on it show that it was worth around $100,000, which is somewhat escalated.
Did anybody from this office see the land that was on the spot?
Yes, sir. Mr. Jimmy Poole and myself, we went to Palm Springs. We wanted to look at it. We saw the photographs. It was just kind of hard to believe, so we wanted to eyeball it. And we went out there and took a look at it.
What does Vanguard's assessment of the property say, and what value does it give?
Pete Buffo, who is one of the gentlemen indicted, appraised the property in 1976. And in 1976, his appraisal was $2,890,000 for both tracts. That is the valley and the slope. We had it appraised by an MAI, Mr. Robert G. Hill out there, Palm Springs. His appraisal of the 2 tracks, aggregate value was $113,000. The difference in the 2 appraisals amounts to $2,777,000.
Investigators with the district attorney's office say Vanguard Insurance Company is now broke, leaving 2,500 policyholders with worthless pieces of paper. They also say that $2.5 million in premiums have disappeared. They say that what happened to that money will probably be revealed when these cases come to court. This is